Good day, everyone. Our study is entitled Virtual Laboratory Simulation versus Standardized Patients, a meta-analysis on its effects on student psychomotor development. With me are Jezil Cotamora, OIC Dean, College of Nursing, Cebu Normal University; Esperidion Corvera, Clinical Instructor, College of Nursing, Cebu Normal University; Ms. Nestivi Pascual, Program Coordinator for Medical Technology, St. Paul University, Philippines; yours truly, Alan Paulo Blaquera, Clinical Instructor, College of Nursing, St. Paul University, Philippines. Before the pandemic, Rutherford Hemming et al. Revealed that simulation-based education has quickly expanded in healthcare in the past decades due to decreased training opportunities, infrequent clinical events, increased attention to patient safety, and limited clinical placement opportunities. On March 11, 2020, the World Health Organization declared the coronavirus pandemic. These caused an unprecedented shift of face-to-face to online learning. Educational technology utilization and improvement accelerated years ahead of its time. Let us examine virtual laboratory simulation and standardized patients. Allied health professional programs require students to develop knowledge, skills, and attitude to be able to deliver quality and compassionate care. Clinical virtual simulation is a recreation of reality depicted on a computer screen and involves real people operating simulated systems, providing an opportunity for the repetitive practice in a safe environment. One popular web-based simulation program is Vissim. It was co-developed by Walter Sclure, Health Lippincott, and Laerdal Medical in cooperation with the National League for Nursing. We shall examine their framework as an example of how virtual simulations are conducted. The 6 steps of Vissim are suggested reading, pre-simulation quizzes, interactive clinical nursing scenarios, post-simulation quizzes, documentation assignments, and guided reflection questions. Simulation that is closest to real-life scenario can be a good alternative to continue developing the intended learning outcomes of the students, even in the absence of actual hospital exposures. The utilization of standardized patients, or SPs, is a simulation approach used for teaching and learning that can address this need. SPs are independent specialists trained to portray patient scenarios for the instruction and assessment of clinical skills of medical students, residents, fellows, and other diverse professionals. As virtual simulations and SPs are used in an array of healthcare programs, systematic reviews on their use have also been published to disseminate the current state of science of these simulation approaches. However, our literature search reveals that there are no literature review on virtual simulations and standardized patients in the context of the pandemic. This meta-analysis allows us to measure more precisely the effects of these simulations among the students. This can guide academic institutions in strategizing and optimizing learning while keeping the learner safe at the comfort of their homes. The researchers aim to answer the following questions. How effective are virtual simulations and standardized patients in student psychomotor development? Second, what were the skills and simulation outcomes investigated? This study uses meta-analysis designed to measure more precisely the effects of virtual simulation and SPs among students. This was conducted consistent with the preferred reporting items for systematic reviews and meta-analysis, or PRISMA. Various meta-search engines were used to gather journal articles including Google Scholar, ScienceDirect, Scopus, and PubMed. Further, the descriptors entered in the meta-search engines were virtual simulation, standardized patients, students, and skills. To be included, the paper must be a research article published in a peer-reviewed journal from 2019 to 2021. Must be in English language only and a quantitative exploration. The paper must be focusing on the use of virtual simulation and standardized patients on clinical courses. The four authors collaboratively conducted appraisal of the articles using Covidence. Covidence is a web-based software platform which aids in screening citations and full text, assessing risk of bias, and extracting study characteristics and outcomes. Based on data needs, the following data were extracted from each of the articles, namely title and publication, abstract, authors, year, country, study purpose, sample size, participants, design, intervention, outcomes, and means. In a span of 3 years, 1,121 research studies were published that incorporated virtual simulations and standardized patients in health sciences education. The largest gaps discovered included a lack of randomized controlled trials, lack of power analysis, and comparative studies to elicit outcomes on best practices. Collected journal articles were filtered with the given inclusion criteria. Figure 1 shows the flow of search process using the Prisma search strategy diagram. Here are the overall study characteristics. Sample size ranged from 11 to 160 participants. The papers came from 8 different countries. Most participants include medical, nursing, pharmacy, physician assistant, and dentistry students. The outcomes investigated were shared decision-making skills, global communication skills, team collaboration, physical examination skill, behavior management skill, nursing assessment, clinical judgment and decision-making, and teamwork. The results show that there is just a slight difference between the mean score of the virtual simulation and standardized patient group, and the median is higher in the SP group. Using the t-test of independent samples, the p-value of 0.336 signifies that there is no significant difference between the virtual simulation and standardized patients group in terms of skills development among the students. This means that the achievement of competencies among the students is comparable with both interventions. The use of virtual simulations and standardized patients across different fields of health sciences education has increased due to the pandemic. The pedagogical approaches provided a controlled and safe learning environment for both undergraduate and graduate students. Our study reveals promising preliminary results that virtual simulations and standardized patients improve student psychomotor development through their nature of repetitiveness, interactivity, and realism. Virtual simulations and standardized patients allow educators to adapt to the needs of the learners of the fourth industrial revolution. Moving forward, the authors will embark on quantitative analysis or the forest plots, manuscript writing, and eventually publication. On behalf of my group mates, I would like to share that the iSucceed committee has given us a symbol to represent our team, which you can see in the center of the screen. We interpret the dots connected as technology and the hand directing technology. Let us not forget to always incorporate humanness in educational technology. Thank you very much for listening.